let's do the things that we actually are doing today, yeah? I think so. We are reading Canon Fics today from Fable, specifically ones focused on nature fam. Starting with the newest fic that we have posted all of 5 minutes ago. Goodbye, sir. We love you. He's like, do you? You deceive me into things.
No treats. No more treats. It's just
little guy. Little bit of dude.
Oh.
Goodbye, sir. Good day. Oh, it's fine. All right, well, chat. So today, I will have on screen what we are reading, which you can see over here. We have what fic title, which cast member wrote it, and when it takes place. So this first one is theoretically could have been a actual stream like today, but and we actually originally this idea came into being because Emma and I talked about it being a stream, and then out of nowhere Emma rolled up with just a really cool fic instead, and I was like, never mind, please, I wish to read it. So I think that's fun. And we are going to trade off. I'm going to read the first one. Daniel's going to read the next one, and then it goes back to me. And that helps both of us not get totally worn out and helps me not suck at reading so bad because I am dyslexic. I do struggle a bit with reading, but I'm going to do my best. I've never done this kind of stream, I've realized, but I have done like the audiobook narration for Brink. So like I can read. I swear.
We can, in fact, read.
But yeah. So, chat, are you guys ready to get started? Should we get started? I'm going to get some water.
Yeah,
Hydrating so good right now. Yeah. Okay. Let's see. All right. Also, chat, is the volume of the music okay, or is it high right now? I cannot tell. It might be high. What would you guys like? I'll check that before we read.
We have a single, it's good.
Volume okay, it's good. Poggers. Great. If it needs to be adjusted, just let us know. Quiet but good. Okay, I think it's better to be quiet than loud right now for these, okay? So, chat. The first story we are reading today is called The World is Ending. Promise me you'll try. It was written by swipnn, and like I said, it takes place during current lore.
You said you wanted to show it on screen?
No, I'm not going to show it on screen.
Okay.
If you want to follow along, you have to go to the you have to go to the link here. I'll even put the link in chat. I'll pin it.
Yeah.
I'll pin the link in chat. Our current fic, currently reading. Boop. Well, Twitch, don't be rude.
You have to log in.
No. I'm going to do it over here instead and pin it. There we go. Okay. Ready? All right. Let's get started with our first fic then. I'm so excited. Guys, I'm so excited for this one. It's about Ray and Easton. So. It's quiet in the house. With Axe and Caspian off working on assignments, Ray sits alone, looking over his notes again and again and again, looking for something, anything to help guide him. The clock chimes for the hour for the 4th time since sitting down at his desk. His back aches from leaning over his books, eyes strained to blink away double letters from staring at the same words for too long. I slightly change my music to sadder vibes. There we go. Okay. He sits back with a defeated sigh, glaring up at the ceiling. How could everything have gone so wrong? His mother was dead. His brother and father had turned against him. Strawberry was dying. Everything was falling apart and he could do nothing. A sneer builds on his face, and with a start he stands up, legs pushing his chair back, its legs scraping against the floor with a screech. Reaching out, he grabs a hold of the nearest journal, and with a rage he was unaware he possessed, he pulls, ripping the spine in two, pages falling slowly, surrounding him like a broken halo on the floor. And he sinks to his knees, falling onto his hands. What the hell am I supposed to do? He whispers. His words linger in the air like a spell. How am I supposed to do this? Silence falls. You could start by rebinding your journal. With a startled cry, Ray shoots to his feet, already spinning on his heel before he's even fully stood. His hands fly to his belt to grab his sword, and heterochromatic eyes meet familiar milky white. Gods, Easton, you can't do that! Ray's hand drops away from his weapon, instead moving to clutch at his shirt. Fucking hell. I was about to... Easton, You wouldn't have. Easton pushes themselves off the wall, leaning their weight on their cane as they stand before Ray. I wouldn't have let you. Ray shakes his head. I could have. He stresses angrily. How did you even get in here? I would have heard you open the door. I have my ways, Easton replies, a small smirk appearing on their lips, only to slip away just as quickly as it came. Is it a habit of yours to destroy your belongings? Their free hand gestures to the pages littering the floor. Ray breathes sharply through his nose. No, he states curtly, dropping down to start gathering the pages. He pauses as Easton bends to help. Never mind. I'm fine now. Easton snorts and Ray shrinks under their distant gaze as their eyes linger at his shoulder. They hum. Fine. I do love that word. So versatile. So many meanings. Don't you agree? Why are you here? Deflecting, are we? Easton, Ray warns as he gathers the final page. Stop with the games. Why are you here? Each word is punctuated with an underlying animosity. The kid is too good at getting under his skin. Easton straightens and turns their head to the side. I'm here, they drawl, because you, my friend, owe me a fight. Not now. Ray immediately says, shaking his head, there's too much work to do, more important things. Easton cut him off with a disapproving click of their tongue. Of course, they say lightly, because ripping apart your book is so incredibly productive. Ray's jaw clenches and he turns towards his desk to dump the pages without regard. He leans forward, hands gripping the edges of the wood, his chin hitting his chest. I'm not the best person to hang around right now, he admits, voice low. I don't know if I'll be able to stop. Ray sighs, rocking slightly on his heels. Yeah, he breathes out. Yeah. Calloused fingers wrap around his shoulder and Ray turns towards Easton. Somehow, just like every other damn time, unseeing eyes are the ones that see straight through him. I can handle it, Easton says after a couple of seconds. Come on, you can come back to mine. It's very secluded. The journey through the Nether is quick, and soon Ray finds himself standing in the woods, his sword in his hand, his knees bent. The fresh air is heavenly in his lungs. As he wrings his hands around the hilt of his sword, he can feel the tension in his shoulders already melting away. Are you ready? Easton calls out, the wind carrying their voice across the small clearing. Ray swallows dryly. Yes, he replies. You? A knowing smirk plays on Easton's lips. Absolutely. Ray does not hesitate to make the first move, crossing the clearing in quick strides. Netherite raising high in the air, he jabs his weapon forwards, unsurprised when Easton easily blocks it with their own netherite axe, the customized steel hilt making Ray's blades slide clean off. Easton ducks beneath another of Ray's swings, moving quickly on light feet. Together they enter the too familiar dance of combat. Dodging, swinging, pulling, pushing. They go back and forth, their barefoot, stepping on rocks and twigs, feet sliding in mud and stomping down flowers as they twist and turn throughout the clearing. Ray slices his sword towards Easton's abdomen and the blonde contorts in some fucked circusy move, effortlessly getting away. Thank you for the raid, Beck. We're in the middle of our first story. Welcome in. It's brutal and graceful, freeing and gut-wrenching. Skilled beyond their peers, they dance and dance and dance. You're done for, Ray shouts gleefully when Easton's axe finally falls out of their hands minutes later. He jabs his sword forward again and again, backing his opponent into a tree. Do you yield? Easton's head falls back against the bark, blonde hair going everywhere as they shake. No. And just as Ray brings their blade up once more to finally end the brawl, Easton drops straight to the ground, legs sweeping out Ray's own, making the man fall hard against the dirt. Pale fingers are quick to steal away the sword, and before he even knows what's happening, Ray's own blade is being pressed into his neck. Do you yield? The breathless reply. Do you? I yield. Ray wheezes out, blade sharp against his throat. The sword pulls away and he lets his head fall back against the ground, sucking in deep breaths to fill his aching lungs. Lesson number 1, Easton begins, climbing off Ray's torso to sit next to him. Never ever think you've won just because you've backed your opponent into a corner. Ray rolls his eyes. Whatever, he mumbles, throwing an arm over his face. I totally almost had you. Yet your throat would have been slit without a second thought in real combat, Easton hums. They pat Ray's thigh. You'll get there. Eventually. I hope. Oh, shut up. Ray laughs, sitting up to smack the back of Easton's head before lying back once more. You're such an ass. I do try. They sit there, basking in the calmness that settles over the clearing. The silence fills with rustling leaves and the symphony of animals nearby, and Ray finds himself dozing off beneath the setting sun when Easton drops down next to him. I need to ask a favor of you. Ray hums sleepily, turning and forcing heavy eyelids open. He watches Easton's nose twitch. Back during the Endstone reset, Easton begins, and sleep has never left Ray so quickly. He's scrambling to sit up, leaning forward on his elbow to stare incredulously. Easton, no, let me talk. Easton breathes out sharply through their nose. Back during the Endstone reset, I was ready to give everything up for glory. For power. It was addicting. Ray swallows thickly. It was incredible, the feeling of raw power coursing through my veins. I didn't have a care in the world. I was prepared to do anything, hurt anyone, to get what I wanted, what I thought I needed, and a watery laugh cuts through their words. I almost killed my own brother to get there. Easton, you weren't in your right mind, Ray says softly, reaching out to grip Easton's shoulder. You can't blame yourself. Easton shakes their head, eyes staring blankly over Ray's shoulder. Maybe I wasn't, but they paused, breath unsteady. But whether or not I was being controlled doesn't change the fact that I hurt you guys. That I hurt Jamie. The fact of the matter is, even though I hurt people, even though I destroyed people's possessions and I crushed their spirits, in the end, Jamie didn't give up on me. Not entirely. And if I'm being honest, I don't know what I would have done. What I would have been capable of if they had. Milky white meets heterochromatic blue and green. And Ray's breath caught in his throat. I know I'm asking a lot of you, Ray. But you can't give up on Icarus. You just can't. Easton, they need you. Whether they realize it right now or not. When they fall, and I know that they will, promise me that you'll be there to catch them. Promise me, Ray. The wind picked up all around them, forcing the tears welled in Ray's eyes to fall. I promise. There we go. That is our first. That's our first one. That one. Me win. The parallels between Easton and Jamie and Ray and Icarus Me win. I remember going bonkers.
Yeah.
Yes, it's good. I like it a lot. And I think that Swip is just a really, really good writer. Okay, I just think they're really cool. It's really good. I like it a lot. I like it a lot. All right. You ready for your turn?
Sure. Like, do you want to talk about anything else in this story, or are you good?
I think that, like, if you came in during one of the raids, I really recommend you go read this one in full. And I said this at the start. This stream, canonically, I think literally could take place today instead of this stream. It could have been this in a stream, but Emma wrote a really sick-ass fic about the idea, because we had the idea that... Here, I'll switch us back to, like, not so sad music. One moment. Go back to being chill. Yeah, maybe not that hype. There. Yeah, we have the cat cam would go here if he comes back, we'll turn the cat cam back on. You get the cat cam every once in a while. But we had a thought after the cathedral event. After Sherbert and Ven's fight was supposed to be Ray and Easton in the bracket system. So Ray owes Easton a duel. And we had the thought sitting for a while now that we wanted to follow up on that with some sort of stream or something. But then Swip rolled up with really dope-ass writing instead, and I said, hey, can I read this on stream? And then I poked Swip and Jamie, and I went, hey, what if I actually read a bunch of them on stream? Thank you for the hydrate. We are going to do that. All right.
Is off screen.
Your hydration is off screen. It's okay. Are you ready?
Yes.
For yours?
Should I just sit where I am and we move the microphone a little bit?
Yeah.
Cool.
For you, sir.
Do we?
You may move it where you wish.
Okay. I was like, I don't know how close I want to get this before it gets so loud, because I do get a little loud.
I guess since the cat's not here, we could switch seats. Because
trade places.
Trade places. Then you can also scroll.
That is a good idea. All right.
Oh wait, for the new people, for the people that rated in, you want to refit check? I think we should.
Oh sure.
At least me. Come on.
Yeah, I mean especially you. I mean look how cute my wife is.
It's just Mambu without the jacket.
I'm wearing a shirt.
I like your shirt. I like your shirt. I like your fit. I think we match, especially because if I were to be wearing Mambu's like sweater, we'd be the same shade of pink.
Ooh, that's fun.
So you're the pink in the Mambu sweater that I'm missing right now.
Oh, that's you're the pink of my Mambu sweater.
Exactly.
That's
but yes, teehee. Also, I made silly little earrings out of just random charms that you
look really
got.
cute.
I think I got them at like Michael's.
Yeah,
because there's so many things that are just like, what if I just get these and make them into earrings myself? Because
right?
I actually have a bunch that I need to make into more earrings.
Yeah.
Yeah. But anyways.
Somewhere back there.
Somewhere. It's
all right.
It's your turn. So let me actually real quick change the. Let me grab this and I will edit what we are reading. Let me type. Yeah, there we go. Okay. So, chat, we are going to go in reverse chronological order. So, we did the stream that would have, in theory, happened today. We're now going to go back in time to a season 2 fic. That is also written by Swip.
Do you want to post a link to this one in the chat?
Yes, I do. Thank you. You're right. I will pin it. Currently reading. Boop. Okay. Alrighty.
Okay. Is there anything else?
I'm gonna change us to sadder music because I know that this one's a sad one.
Understandable.
Rip. Okay.
All right, we begin.
The mic is yours.
Thank you. Sorry, I just love the way this starts. Get the fuck out of my house. Easton waits for their voice to fade before letting their chin drop to their chest, a soft sigh whistling past dry lips. The tightness in their bones slowly eases as they squash the anger and resentment that had been coursing, oh so sweetly, through their veins only a minute before. they're exhausted. Picking their head up, they carefully move towards the door, mumbling curses beneath their breath as they trip over stray books and papers they had ripped from their shelves in blinded rage days prior. Their hands meet the wall, and with practiced precision, they follow the odd indents and imperfections they force themselves to memorize only by touch to find the door. Ignoring the way their feet slide over the astray carpet of their entrance room, they stumble towards their storage room. Their steps are awkward and uneven, and if it wasn't for their hands splayed in front of themselves, their face would have met the wall. They slip into the storage room with shaking hands, beginning to rifle through the barrels. After sinking their hands into fistfuls of sand and gravel, brushing their fingertips over sacred gems and stones, and nearly slicing the palm of their hand open on a blade, their thumb finally brushes against the smooth surface of steel. A jolt of joy courses through their body, and they pull the steel out of the barrel, their free hand reaching for the piece of flint they know had been resting to its right.
Don't mind me, I'm getting cat treat out because he was hanging out. He was there for a second, okay? Oh, hello there.
You want to leave?
Want a cat cam with me, love?
You may do as you wish. I'm going to continue reading.
You keep reading. I
Okay.
have cat cam, don't you worry.
Items heavy in their hands, Easton slowly makes their way out to their kitchen, kicking aside dropped materials to the side, pretending that they won't care about the mess since they can't even see it. Moving onto their tiptoes, they reach up and grasp for the lantern hanging from the ceiling. It takes them a few tries, each failed attempt stirring an annoyance inside of them before they are able to grab onto the metal and pull it down from its hook. They sink to the floor, placing the 3 items on the ground as they pull their legs beneath themselves. Their hands are still shaking by the time that they grab for the lantern, pulling it into their lap so they don't drop it. They take a deep breath. They reach to their left and seize the door to one of the cabinets, pulling it open with disregard, letting the wood smack against the wall. They ignore how it'll leave a mark on the terracotta. They rifle through the items before their fingers close around a glass bottle, and they can't help but smile to themselves. They pull the oil from the barrel and place it down in front of them, pulling the cork from the bottle's lips. Okay, they mumble to themselves. Okay, you've got this. It's a lamp. It's not that hard. You can do this in your sleep. Pouring the oil into the lantern's reserve is fairly simple, only spilling a couple of drops onto the floorboards. Easton's smile grows as they set the bottle back down by their feet. They reach for the flint and steel, hands finally stilling as their anxiety washes away. They strike the flint against their thumb. Swearing, Easton shakes their hand, biting down on their lip as their thumb throbs with pain. They try again, only to completely miss, nearly throwing themselves to the ground for the amount of force they had put behind the movement. They grit their teeth and try once more, and the shrill shriek of steel against flint sounds throughout the house. They can feel the heat of the flame on their skin, and their hands begin to tremble as they try to find the lantern's wick. They run their tongue across the bottom of their lip as they hold the small flame to the lantern, not quite knowing when to pull away. A soft sizzling noise reaches their ears before the pain registers, and with a yelp, Easton scrambles back, knocking over the lantern and dropping the flint and steel. Panic courses through their body as they cradle burnt fingertips to their chest. They can feel the heat of the growing fire, and with their free hand reach for the barrel, knocking over containers in their haste. Grasping, closing around one of the containers, they use their thumb to pop the lid before dumping what they hope to be salt onto the ground in front of them. They pause for a moment. Heartbeat thumping in their ears and breath heaving as they listen to the fizzling sound of the dying fire. They don't know how long they sat there, waiting for their pulse to slow and their thoughts to process, but eventually the burning pain dancing across their fingers leaves them no choice but to get up on shaky legs. Their feet slide in the oily salt mixture on the floor as they reach into their icebox and pull out a wad of snow. They press it against their fingertips, letting out a quivering breath as the rush of cold calms their nerves. They spend the night curled up on their bed, their cat snuggled up against their chest. There's a badly wrapped bandage on their hand, and their shirt is slightly damp from melted snow. Even as they feel themselves being pulled into the clutches of sleep, they reflect over the lesson they learned. The darkness is their friend.
I forgot how sad
Brutal.
this one is. Hello, sir. Little man's. He hangs out.
I really like how this one flows, how it goes from like, I can do this, I have completely fucked up, to like scrambling to survive, you accidentally setting a fire in your house while you are blind. That seems really bad.
I like this one a lot. I think particularly like the fics that Emma writes do a lot to really show into what's going on with Easton in ways that we don't get to see because they don't stream. So I really love these. I like them a lot. Could you stop trying to attack my projects?
Flowers. Shepard has found flowers to consume, which are not real.
I have flowers. Okay, wait. We'll turn off the cat cam. And I will say real quick, I'll show chat the flowers. They're cool, and I've been spending a lot of time on them. Chat, here we can show you. I've been making, they are Silent Princess flowers to go on my dress with my cosplay. So I have a bunch of them, and I've been sewing beads into them after I painted them because I like pain. I like making life difficult.
I think it's because you enjoy making things.
I do. Okay. Rotate. Trade places.
Where'd chat go?
Oh. All right, everybody. Our next fic is Home by swipnn as well. It is another season 2 fic. We'll go boop. Done. And I will go get, I don't actually have this one pulled up. I will go grab the link. Boop. There it is. Ta-da.
Oh, and then link it in the chat.
Yep. Sitting. I gotta do my little sits, my little cross-legged sits. All right, current fic. Yeah, the torch flower in the background. Dell made that for me for Christmas. Oh, he returns.
Sorry, I have no treats. All I have is lap.
He's thinking about it.
He's trying his best. He just wants more treats, I think, right now.
He does. He's in a treat mood. He's in a treat mood.
Treat yourself.
Will you let me pin this, please? There it goes. It was being rude. Okay. Let's see. So been a good writer. Yeah, absolutely. I agree. Okay. Cat cam goes away.
Yes.
Boop, boop. Alrighty. Okay. So. Blah, blah, blah. Let's see. I know it's ad time. Oh no. How dare. How dare the ads play. It is okay. You can watch VODs and support streamer and read fic. All right. Shall we chat with this one? So, this one is Home by Swip. It is another season 2 fic. So, let us begin. Yeah, you happy?
Yes.
The cat cam is cracking me. Yeah, look, he's every once in a while we get the cat cam, okay? Okay?
Once in a while.
All right. I'm gonna hydrate real quick. Okay. It wasn't their fault. At least, that's what everyone was telling them. But Easton was never naive, even as a child, and they knew what fear looked like. Inspiring fear in others used to be something they were proud of. Being human was never quite as intimidating as being a hybrid, or even another species entirely. So being able to incite panic in others by a simple feint or glare was good, at least for them. Yet now, seeing the fear written so clearly across their friends' faces, all it did was make them nauseous. People were injured, buildings were destroyed, and Easton remembered none of it. The assurances from the others were hollow and spoke in passing, never quite directly, and all it did was make them feel worse. The constant reminder that they were missing months of their life, memories and moments lost to another figment, only piled the guilt more heavily. How could they apologize when they couldn't truly mean it? I have just realized that I think this fic might be a season 1 boy, not a season 2. He might. I'm a edit my little thing. I believe this is a season 1er, not a season 2. I'm a fool. Boop. There we go. Thank you. I couldn't remember if this was end of season 1 or start of season 2, but it is definitely end of season 1. Okay, we continue. Easton strolled along the shoreline, bare feet sinking into ocean-soaked sand. It was well into the night, the moon sitting high above them in the sky, casting an eerie glow on their surroundings. Off in the distance, a lone house sat swaying on carefully crafted dock, partway into its return to nature. It had been years since the teenager had been back. Visiting only brought memories of blood and small hands burying 2 bodies in the sand. When Strawberry had so gently suggested that they stop returning, to spare themselves the pain and longing and depression that came with it, they had essentially jumped at the opportunity. It wasn't that they didn't love their parents anymore, but because they were afraid that one day they'd visit and somehow find themselves in the same position as them. But only that time, nobody would be there to bury their body. Coming to a stop before the stairs, Easton stared at the wreckage that used to be their home. Weathered by the elements and the essence of time, their childhood home was reduced to ruins. 2 of the walls had come down, crumbled in pieces. There were holes in the deck where the waterlogged wood had rotted away. Memories had been washing away all the years that they had been gone, and they couldn't find it in themselves to care. Easton turned away and continued up the beach, subconsciously following an invisible path they knew too well. How they had managed to get so far at such a young age was unbeknownst to them. They figured that adrenaline and shock had been a big factor even for a small 4-year-old. Hi, Mom. The mound was slightly caved in, but that was to be expected. There wasn't a body in there anymore, and bones were only so big. Sticks and leaves riddled the sand-packed grave, and with numb fingers, Easton began to clear away the debris. I'm sorry it's been so long since I've been home. Why were they talking to an empty grave was lost to logic, but the idea that their mom was still there brought a faint sense of comfort. I miss you. After a while, once the debris was gone and there was enough footprints circling the mound, Easton sank into the sand, pulling their legs underneath themselves. One hand rested in their lap and the other traced lines along the sand. I messed up, they admitted out loud, tipping their head back to stare at the stars. I did a bad thing, and I don't know how to fix it. Clutching at their shirt, Easton blinked back tears. I don't really know what happened, but I know I hurt a lot of people. I hurt my friends, and I hurt Jamie. A shuddering breath escaped their lips. I'm so scared, Mama. I'm missing so much time, and I can't decide if I want it back. From the way everyone has been treating me, I don't really think I want to know. Wind rustling along the tree line. I have these bruises, but they aren't really bruises. They're more painful than bruises, and they don't heal like them either. The ones on my arms are gone, but I still have so many everywhere else. They really hurt. Another gust of wind blew across the beach, and the house on the shore creaked and groaned. Easton watched, waiting for the structure to finally collapse. But as the wind stilled, so did the house. The teenager was almost disappointed. The ruins were only a reminder of sorrow and grief. They didn't want it standing. Their voice dropped to a hoarse whisper. Everyone is so scared of me, and it's like they think I'm just gonna snap and attack them all. Tears sliding down their cheeks. I'm not going to attack them, Mom. I wouldn't do that to my friends. Shivering against the cold night, Easton curled in on themselves, resting their cheek against their knee. Their eyes flickered across the beach, staring aimlessly at the sand. Somewhere in the nearby jungle bush, nightingales sang a solemn song. A song that felt like it was made just for them. The looks are the worst part, they hiccuped, another round of tears following. Apprehension, fear, pity. I don't want their pity. I don't want anything. A sob racked their body. I want to go back to how everything was before everything, when it was just me and you and Dad. Everything was so much easier. The rest of the night passed in silence. As the sun began to crest over the horizon, Easton lifted their head, squinting against the harsh light. Casting a final look to the caved-in mound, they forced themselves to their feet and began the long walk back. Well, back to everyone else. They weren't going home because their home was right there. Home was a rundown beach house with 2 twin graves in the front yard. Home was with their parents, even if their souls had already washed away with the tide. Home was a safe place, free of fear and worry and sorrow, and there was no fighting or arguing because home was empty. And Easton passed by Town Hall, watching as their friends laughed and talked, and they kept on walking. They didn't stop until they got to their property and descended the stairs to their basement, where they pulled out their pickaxe, staring numbly at the end stone that had built up. Even though it wasn't their home, they could at least try and make it into one.
I was like, oh God. Oh God. We're all going to start crying.
Not me. When it's like blinking away the tears misting in their eyes, and I'm like, I'm fine. I'm fine. Yeah. In the chat, I forgot how sad these were. Yeah, bitch. Dude, these are fucking rough. Oh, okay.
We have more hydration.
We do?
I'll hydrate on screen. So there can't be hydration allegations.
Okay. You get the one written by Jamie.
Ooh.
You get the Uncorruption novelization.
Sorry, I just saw that swipnn said, no, it's gone in chat. I'll never know. Oh, all I know is pain.
Yep. So, the next one is a novelization of the Uncorruption stream from Jamie and Easton's point of view. Oh, this is a little too long. Beep. And did I spell Uncorruption? No, it's just because Uncorruption isn't a word. There we go. We're good. So obviously this is a season oneer. This was written by Jamie with input from Easton. Okay. All right. Bop. Done. There we go.
Yeah. Oh, with trade places.
Yeah, we got to trade places. Trade places.
I round over my own feet.
Rip, you fool. But yeah, as some context for this one, I'll just read the little snippet that Jamie has at the beginning of this. So, the two of us weren't thrilled with how the last season Uncorruption turned out. We were limited motion-wise by the block game. I wrote this almost entirely right after Uncorruption, then forgot about it until they posted it.
Nice.
But I like it too much to forget it. So, it's a little bit of them getting to do... Oh, link in the chat. You're right. Them getting to kind of give what they really wanted for that Uncorruption stream. So, currently reading. Boop. There you go. Yeah. All right. And I'm gonna hold the stream deck of
Buttons.
the music changers because
Because you
I know how
there's
to.
going to be a lot of music.
Yes. All right.
Okay, are we in positions?
Yes.
Cool. All right, I will now begin. Hi, Jamie. Jamie wheeled around, raising their bow on instinct. Hi, Easton. What are you doing here? Easton had an air about them that could only be identified as excitement. What are you doing here? Jamie panicked, the weight of the bunker below their feet pulling on them like a ball and a chain. There's nothing down here for you. I wouldn't say that. Easton shrugged. I know what's down there in your little bunker. Jamie swallowed, the fear that was crawling up the back of their neck. I won't let you down there. Easton smirked, tilting their head as they analyzed their sibling. Grasping at any possible distraction, Jamie asked a question they weren't sure they wanted the answer to. I know you probably wouldn't tell the truth if I asked, but the day in the bunker, was it real? Easton took a step forward. Jamie tightened the grip on their bowstring. Easton shrugged. Do you think it was real? They took another step down the stairs. I'm going to ask you again, Jamie, what are you doing down here? Well, I'm not letting you get any farther. Jamie released the bowstring. Easton leapt off the stairs at the same time that Jamie dashed beneath them. He leaned around the opposite side, swinging his axe at Easton. The other took the axe to the shoulder, denting the netherite plating. You think I care about what's down there? They whipped around, knocking the axe away and throwing a potion to return the axe blow. This is about you and me. Jamie attempted to dodge the bottle, but still felt the shattering glass bounce off their armor, the sour smell of a weakness potion. Their axe suddenly heavier in their hands. They climbed up onto the stairs, taking a swing at Easton's legs. Easton knocked the blow away, attempting to bring their sword down on top of Jamie, who blocked the advance with their shield. They kicked out from under the shield, knocking Easton up a couple of steps onto the landing. They hit the ground hard, catching themselves against the wooden stairs on their wrist. The pain of the hit rolled up their arm, fueling them to push back up again. Easton grunted, throwing their hair out of their eyes and turning back onto their sibling, their eyes sparkling with thrill. Jamie advanced again, pushing through the last of the weakness and shooting an arrow at Easton. Easton dodged the arrow and charged in return, forcing Jamie back up the next set of stairs towards the bridge. I know you better than this, Easton. Please. There wasn't really any hope behind Jamie's plea. They backed out onto the bridge, balancing their shield and axe. Easton leapt after them, their sword burying itself into Jamie's shield. Easton's feet hit the bridge and the wood creaked. They ripped their sword back, holding it in front of themselves. Jamie struggled to regain his balance, lowering his shield in an effort to steady himself. You think you have a chance? Easton thrusted their sword forward, aiming for Jamie's stomach. You think you can kill me? As if you didn't teach me everything I know. Jamie leaned to avoid the blade and felt their weight tip off the edge. For a lack of a better place to go, they jumped from the bridge. Their newly damaged boots, which would have normally broken their fall, crumpled beneath them. They felt the impact rocket up their body before centering on their leg. Easton was kind enough to speed up the process of collapsing by using Jamie to break their own fall. And you think you're better? Jamie managed to flip over and kick upward, nailing Easton in the stomach and rolling out from under them in their laps. They leaned on their axe handle and heaved themselves to their feet, nearly collapsing again immediately as their right leg failed beneath their weight. On one foot they turned around, raising their axe in front of them. Easton smirked and flashed out with their sword, sending Jamie's weapon clattering from their hand. You will never be more than a stupid, fucking feral wild animal. They reared back and aimed an expertly placed kick at Jamie's chest. The bear was almost certain that they felt a rib crack as they fell backwards, hitting the dirt hard and failing to keep any of their breath in their lungs. Before Jamie had a chance to get his paws under him again, Easton was over him. Their purple-stained fingers grabbed Jamie by the neck of their sweater and lifted them up with a strength only a god could provide. Jamie opened their mouth to speak, but was cut off by Easton's sword at their throat. It's all right, Easton cooed. You're safe here. We're family. The manic laughter pricking at the edge of their faux comforting words cut Jamie deeper than any blow before. Jamie swallowed their pride along with a mouthful of blood and bile. Electing to look anywhere but at Easton, they traced the wood grain pattern in the ceiling with their eyes. Easton pushed the sword harder against their sibling's throat. Look at me, they howled, throwing Jamie back against the ground. End this! Jamie felt his skull rattle. He relished the few moments of silence that came next as his shell-shocked ears remembered how to work. Easton dropped to their knees on top of Jamie's rib cage, erasing any hope of regaining their breath. Easton reached down and wiped the trail of blood leaking from Jamie's nose out of their fur with more care than they had ever shown, corrupted or not. They clicked their tongue in disappointment and wiped the blood off of Jamie's sweater. Jamie had no idea where they found the strength to reach up and push Easton's hand away. Easton grabbed them by the wrist, twisting their paw before it tossed away weakly, where it stayed in the dirt. What do you even want from me? Jamie hissed. Easton chuckled. I just want my family back. The similarity to the words Jamie himself had spoken several times struck him hard. You are not my sibling. Family doesn't do this, they whispered, closing their eyes. Without looking, Jamie saw Easton raise their sword. They squeezed their eyes closed even tighter, but the final blow never came. Easton's weight disappeared from on top of them. Jamie? Jamie pushed himself up on his hands, opening his eyes. Easton was kneeling several feet away, their hands on their face. Easton? What's going on? Why are you... Is that blood? Jamie pushed themselves to their feet, keeping the weight off of their injured leg and backing away. I can't trust you. You've said this before. How do I know I can believe you? Believe me? What do you mean? Believe what? Easton took a step towards Jamie. Jamie backed up farther than their shoulders, now against the wall of the basement. They looked around, taking in Easton's sword discarded on the ground. Is it real this time? Jamie, Easton raised their hands. I'm not going to hurt you. Why would I hurt you? Jamie looked up sharply, finally meeting Easton's eyes. Is it really you? Yeah, of course it is. Why do you keep saying that? Easton was interrupted by Mambu appearing behind them, placing her hand on their shoulder. She turned Easton around to face her, looking them closely in their eyes, her face already flushed and tears streaked, lit up. Easton. Hi, Mom. What's going on? Easton raised their eyebrows at their mother. You're both back, Mambu swallowed her emotions. Easton, you and Sherbert you were being controlled by Endirian. You weren't yourselves. Easton chuckled, interrupting them. Are you guys fucking with me? No, East, you hurt a lot of people. Mambu took a step back. Easton's smile faltered. No, I wouldn't do that. I know you wouldn't. Mambu seemed to run out of things to say. Easton's confusion was stained with fear as they backed up towards the ladder. I'm just gonna go home. They scurried up and away. Jamie reached up for their mother's hand, letting them help him onto his non-injured leg. She instinctively put her arm over his shoulders, searching for the right words to comfort, deciding what to say. Mom, do you have any healing potions?
Me win. I like that one. I think it's so bussin'. Switch places.
Oh, excuse me.
Beep 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 beep. Okay, I think our next one we get.
I remembered that Easton is canonically wearing a dinosaur onesie during this.
We had to film that, and it actually looked a lot better than we thought it would.
Surprisingly, the dinosaur onesie is actually not that distracting.
Okay. So our next one, I think we're doing good on time. So I think we're good to read this one. Plus, I want to read something that's not horrifically sad.
Yeah.
Even though I do really love Bear Meets World, and I'm sad that you get to read it instead of me.
But I'm sorry, Bear Meets World?
Yeah, Bear Meets World is one of my favorites, and I don't get to read it, and I'm upset. But Silent Shores is also, I'll talk about Silent Shores when we get there. But right now, we're going to read Unlikely Friends, which is a season 1-er. I will edit this boy. Let me edit you. Raw. So this is about Easton and Athena. I don't think this one stays happy. It's been a while since I read it.
Hey, Chad, don't actually want happy, okay?
But I don't remember this one as much. So it's fine. Okay. So.
Oh, wait, do you want to link it in chat?
Yes, I do.
Don't worry, we'll forget that every time.
Yep. Boop. Pinned it.
Nice.
Nailed it. Fablesmp where we get 10 seconds of happiness every year. So true. Okay. I'm gonna hydrate. Okay. So, this is Unlikely Friends, written by swipnn, taking place in season 1. 1. Flour, flour, and more flour. Soft music floated through the bakery. The pay-to-play jukebox hummed happily as tune after tune was queued up in its archives with the same emerald that Easton had attached to a string. Watching from behind the counter, Athena laughed as Easton pulled the gem from the machine, successfully beating the system for the umpteenth time that afternoon. I can't believe you're rigging our own jukebox, he said, when Easton made their way back behind the counter. Besides, you could just open it up every time and reuse the emerald that way. I'm sure it would be 10 times easier. Easton shook their head. No way, they protested, a smile on their lips. It's so much more fun trying to get it back out. Returning their smile, Athena turned back towards the dough they were kneading, pressing their knuckles into it. She rolled it a few times before sprinkling some more flour on top. Do you know where the flour is? Without looking up, Athena nodded his head towards one of the cabinets. Should be in there, top left. You're a wizard. He smiled. I know. They worked in silence for a while, neither of them needing to talk, simply enjoying each other's presence as they usually did. With music lingering in the air and the taste of sugar on their tongues, they spent the summer afternoon in their favorite way. Hey, Athena? Turning around, Athena lifted his head, about to respond, but choked on a laugh instead. What's so funny? You've got flour all over your face. The young prince forced out between giggles. How did you even manage that? Eyebrows furrowing, Easton turned towards the display window, squinting in order to focus on their reflection. They studied the faint outline of their features. I don't see anything, they grumbled, leaning in closer to the glass. Are you screwing with me? Athena shook their head. No, you idiot, here. They reached out with the pad of their thumb, wiped off a line of flour from the other's cheek. I swear, Easton, you've got half the supply on your face. The blonde snorted. Oh, yeah? You're one to talk. You've got a shit ton on your nose. Huh? Really? Athena turned towards the display case, eyes narrowing to peer at their reflection. You're such a liar! Before he could finish his sentence, a cloud of white obscured his vision. She gasped, eyes screwing shut and mouth hanging open, flour coating her lips. Easton! Who's got half the supply on their face? The blonde teased, patting the flour-covered hands on their apron. The last time I checked, it was you. Athena reached up and wiped at his eyes. He turned to glare at his friend. Oh, you are so on. She scooped up a handful of sugar from the package and flung it towards Easton, dusting them in a layer of crystals. Coughing, the blonde quickly reached for the pumpkin puree, dipping a spoon in and splattering onto the front of Athena's shirt. It ran down in multiple globs. They ran around the other side of the counter. Get back here, Athena yelled as they grabbed an egg, holding it menacingly in their hand. I swear I am going to crack this on your head. Easton gasped dramatically, edging around the counter as Athena followed. No, not my beautiful hair. I spent hours this morning doing it. By the end of their squabble, both teenagers were covered in baking supplies. They had found their way out into the seating area and both had collapsed in a chair, breathing heavily. I totally won that, Easton pointed out, trying their best to ignore the yolk dripping from their bangs. Yep, I won. Athena scoffed. Please, I won that. You clearly have more shit on you. Nah. The two were quiet for a moment. They both turned towards the kitchen, staring through the display at the mess they had made. A small smirk formed on Easton's lips. You want to make Jamie clean it up? You read my mind. I love them so much. Okay. Whew. Number 2. Benches and crowns. Easton drove another nail into the wood. The pounding of the hammer against metal filled the silence around them as they worked. Athena was over across the courtyard, putting together a bench of his own. You doing okay? The blonde called out to them, raising a hand to shield their eyes from the sun. Athena turned towards them, a weary look on their face. I don't know, they called back, shrugging their shoulders. I think I messed up somewhere. Putting down their tools, Easton made their way towards Athena, sinking down to the ground next to them. They peered at the small bench, eyes scouring for any mistake. I'm not seeing anything, they hummed, using their hands to inspect the lumber. Why do you think you messed it up? I don't know, he admitted. It just looks kind of wonky. Easton shrugged and stood up, dusting the dirt off from their pants. Well, everything looks fine to me. Good job so far, kid. Hey, we're basically the same age, Athena protested, a grin on his face. Compared to you, I'm not a kid. Whatever you say, the blonde laughed. After a while, Easton finished the bench they had been working on. They stepped back, tool belt draped across their hips, and admired their work. They wiped the sweat from their brow and turned back towards Athena, only to see him crouched on the ground, clutching his crown in his hands. Athena, you good? A weird sense of deja vu fluttered over the blonde as they made their way back to their friend. Only this time they knew they weren't going to be inspecting a bench. Athena? They repeated, bending down. Is everything all right? The prince sighed, letting his shoulders drop. Yeah, she mumbled. I think I broke my crown, though. Taking the crown from their friend, Easton frowned at the large dent residing in the side of the gold. I was hammering in one of the nails and it fell off and I accidentally hit it, Athena explained, their voice oddly small. I really liked that crown. Easton pursed their lips. Hey, it's all chill, they assured. I can fix this. How? The prince asked. It's a really big dent. The blonde shook their head. Don't worry about it. I can fix it. I took some lessons with one of the local blacksmiths. They ran their fingers over the dent. I'll take it back to mine and see what I can do. Athena smiled. Thanks, Easton. He reached out, wrapping the other teen in a hug. Even if you can't fix it, it's okay. It's the thought that matters. Easton laughed, returning the hug. Yep, they chuckled. The blonde thought for a moment before placing the crown on their head. Maybe I'll keep it for myself, fixed or not. Hey, that's mine, Athena gasped, springing to her feet. He tried to grab the crown from Easton's head, but the blonde sidestepped. I look better, don't you think? They teased, keeping their friend at arm's length. I'm the new prince of this town. A couple days later, Athena woke to a light knocking on their front door. He climbed up the ladder, up to the ground floor, and swung the door open, expecting to see Ray, but was met with nothing. They looked down to see a box sitting idly on the ground, and they bent down to pick it up before bringing it inside. She set it on the table and slowly began to open it, wary of its contents. They pulled back the top, and to their surprise, their crown sat inside, perfectly rounded and shining. He grinned, excitement coursing through his veins, and picked it up, fingertips ghosting across the surface. Wasting no time, he placed it on his head before picking up the small note at the bottom. Athena. Told you so. Easton. They couldn't help but laugh. Oh, good news. The third one I don't think is horrifically sad. I think this one stays happy. Number 3. Applications. What are you doing? Easton looked over from their paper to see Athena hovering over them. Oh, I'm just filling out my university application. University application? Athena repeated, sitting down on the grass. You're going to college? Blonde shrugged. Might as well. Got nothing better to do. They replied. I'm thinking of studying law. Athena nodded, glancing at the paper. Law sounds fun, he said. How did you find out about this? I had no idea there was a university around here. Easton let out a short laugh. I was at one of the neighboring villages. I overheard some of the locals talking about it, they answered. I figured I'd give it a shot and apply. If you're accepted, will you have to leave? The prince said, sadness beginning to fall over their face. Easton grimaced. Maybe. I don't know yet. It's not terribly far away, so I might be able to get away with traveling up there and back every day. I'll have to see. Oh, okay. I'm not leaving for good, the blonde assured, wrapping an arm around Athena's shoulders. It'll just be for a couple of months. Maybe a bit longer. I have heard that law is really intense. Okay, Athena mumbled, a smile beginning to form on her lips. I can always help you with your homework. I'm sure Uncle Centros won't mind you coming over. Sure, kid, Easton laughed. They scribbled something onto the paper. How's it going with Centros anyways? I don't think I've met him in person yet. Athena grinned. He's really cool, he replied. He can be a little overprotective sometimes, but other than that, he's really fun. He tells me lots of stories. They pause. And stop calling me kid. I'm barely younger than you. Yet you're still younger, Easton teased. Kid. Easton! The blonde ducked, head successfully avoiding a thwart to the head. Whoa there, bucko, they said, smiling. Hands to yourself. If you call me a kid one more time, I swear. Easton cut them off, patting their head affectionately. All right, cool it. They said, I'll chill if you chill. Sound good? Good. All right, it's getting pretty late. I'll walk you home? Athena nodded, getting up. He pulled Easton up with him. Promise me that you'll let me know when you get in? They asked, pulling their friend along the path. I promise, Easton replied, nodding their head. I'll deliver the news to you in person. Athena gave them a bright grin. I'll hold you to that.
It's a cute one.
It stayed happy. Oh. It stayed happy. Also, this is definitely a season 2-er, but it's out. I'm out of order. But it was posted out. I'm going to blame it in that it was posted in a different order than I thought it would be. I'm a fool. Emma's just out here letting me look like a dumbass. It's fine. Hush. Are you ready for one of
That one.
I love this fic so much.
Yeah.
I love Bear Meets World, okay? Look, I'm going to be smart this time and do it before I trade places.
Big brain. Also, we've been
Hydrate, hydrate. Why was it so aggressive?
I don't know.
Boop. Boop. Okay. We have got through so many fics.
They were
I'm so proud
crushing
of
it.
us. Yeah, look at us. We're
Oh, wait,
crushing
you also have to change it over there to the
Oh,
Bear
you're
Meets
right.
World.
Thank you. I do know for sure that this one is pre-season 1. The next two, I know this because they are about little Easton and little Jamie.
Little baby kids.
Little tiny children. Child, baby. Okay. All right. Babies. Littles. Yep.
Littles.
Littles. Okay. Boop. Boop. I think we get to stay on the happy playlist, guys. This is so exciting. Wait, the hydrate.
Right, you have to hydrate as well. I already did that part.
Wait, let's see if we can coax the cat over here again.
Cat Meets World.
Shepherd.
Shakes bag. How many of those has he had, by the way?
Like 4. Hello, little dude.
He's like, I only want treats. Don't look at me.
Okay. Wait, let me turn the cat cap back on. Boop. Oh, you're gonna aggressively yell at me, huh?
That's the sort of, yeah, you're supposed to be over here, sir.
Give it.
He grab
Give
it.
He give it with his little paws. He grabs. All right. You read bear story. I feed cat.
Okay. Don't be long now. Strawberry called over her shoulder towards her wild 5-year-old tornado rolling down the hill. And try not to get grass stains on your new pants. I won't, Easton hollered, barreling back up the hill only to roll down it again. Strawberry sighed and turned back towards the home nestled into the hills. They knelt in the garden for a moment before reaching the door, picking a couple of the more mature tulips and daisies. She tucked them into the basket she was holding as if her arms weren't already full enough. In an attempt to free up a hand to open the door, they shifted their load over to their left arm and in the process, knocked a jar of jam out of their basket. Of course, Strawberry muttered, kneeling down to retrieve the jar. This is why I have a kid, right, isn't it? And as her hand closed around the jar, her eyes locked onto the bottom of the door. The wood was scratched and marred.
Don't bite me. Stop biting me.
What is happening over there?
Really
Are you also dealing with a bear?
He really wants another treat, so now he's just eating my hand.
Well, now he's confused. He's like, is food coming out of this? This is a food dispenser.
I'm being bit. No, there is no food here.
He's like, I'll bite it. Don't you worry. Anyway. I have no idea. The wood was scratched and marred with what looked like claw marks. Whatever had done this had wanted in, and badly. Even worse, when Strawberry pushed the jar up against the door, she realized whatever it was had succeeded. Strawberry stood and steeled herself, trying to slow her heart rate as she pushed the door open with her shoulder. Neck on a swivel, they placed the basket and other goodies on the counter. They paced a slow circle around the house. Maybe it had already left. Strawberry began to uneasily place the jars and plants she had brought back onto the shelves into the fridge. They pulled the last item out of the basket, a large, rather fresh jar of honey, and went to place it in the pantry. It wasn't until her hand was on the doorknob that she heard it. It sounded almost like a dog whining from inside the pantry, accompanied by pathetic, weak, scratching noises at the bottom of the door. Strawberry swallowed. I'm going to have to open it sooner or later, and before she had time to think about the idea, she yanked the door open. They gasped as something tumbled out of the pantry headfirst and collided with her shins. The bear cub was nearly upside down with its shoulders on the ground and its back against Strawberry's leg, blinking up at her between its own back paws. Strawberry tilted her head at the cub before looking back into the pantry. She gasped, dropping the bottle of honey she was still holding and pushing the cub off her foot to walk inside. The pantry was absolutely trashed. Bottles were knocked over, boxes were shredded, shelves were crushed. No part of the closet was left untouched. Strawberry even took a moment to wonder how the bear got itself up to the very top shelves. and a slurping noise distracted Strawberry from her distress, and she turned around to see the bear nose deep in the jar of honey she had just dropped. It finished the jar in a matter of seconds, and as Strawberry watched, it screwed the lid back on the jar and tossed it to the ground and padded over to her side. Strawberry wanted to be angry. She picked up the bear underneath the arms, intending to toss it out the back door, but the longer they held its gaze, the more their anger dissipated. Without really thinking it through, she found herself cradling the cub like a baby, using her apron to wipe the honey from its face and paws. The cub settled in easily, nestling in Strawberry's warmth. Strawberry smiled softly, closing the pantry door with her foot. She knelt and placed a gentle kiss on the bear's forehead. She felt that she assumed was a static electric shock and pulled back. Though she moved the bear away from herself, it felt like she was pulling two magnets apart, like the world was pressing them together. Suddenly, the bear felt much heavier in their arms, as if it had suddenly grown 10 pounds weight in its chest. She clung to the bear like her life depended on it, and in this wild moment, she partly sure it did. Something changed in the bear's eyes, and they couldn't look away. It was as if for a moment there was a different person in there, looking at her through the dark, once animalistic eyes. The bear blinked, and the figurative person was gone, but something was still different. A vine of pink flowers snaked its way through the fur on the top of the bear's head. Strawberry recognized the flowers immediately as mature, healthy tulips in her favorite shade of pink. The bear kicked their legs happily and reached one paw up to bat a loose strand of Strawberry's hair. Anyone else would have been unsettled by how human the bear's new attitude was, but Strawberry had put on their favorite pair of rose-colored glasses and had no plans of taking them off. They shifted the bear to place it on their hip, bouncing them ever so slightly. A name, Strawberry mused, glancing around the kitchen. Through the glass cabinet door, her eyes caught the jar of jam she had dropped on the stoop. "Jamie," she exclaimed, looking back down at the bear. Jamie blinked at her and tilted their head, startled by her exclamation. "That's your name, Jamie," Strawberry laughed. "I'm Strawberry, and you're my son, Jamie. Oh, and Easton is going to love you." Jamie tilted their head back in the opposite direction. "Easton?" Strawberry gasped, holding Jamie out in front of her. Yes, Easton, that's your sibling." Strawberry hugged Jamie close to them. "We're going to be such an amazing family."
Me when bear meets world.
Bear! Oh, that bear can speak. That bear understands jars.
Oh, that's yeah, cute. Wow.
Very cute.
I really hope that you guys look just thinking of this fic and knowing now about like Delta things.
Yeah.
This Delta was so far back planned.
The deep lore.
Teehee. Me win. Me win cute. Me win so me good.
Win baby is hell.
Me win baby.
Like, you're a baby.
You're a baby.
Look at this cute baby.
Look at this baby. Raw. Me win. And now we get Easton's pre-season 1. And it's way fucking sadder.
I mean,
God damn it.
We have to end on sad. This is Fable SMP, goddammit.
Right? I was thinking, okay, so this is technically the last nature fam. If we wanted to, I have 2 Ray fics.
How long are they?
I think they're similar in length to these.
I think we could do them then if you want to keep going.
Let me see. How many words are...
Yeah, like it really depends on the word count.
Okay, Late Night Call is like 1,100, and I think Broken Wings is probably similar. Broken Wings is 3,000 words.
Oh, maybe not that one. Maybe not that one.
I know. Okay, maybe we do Late Night Calls. And maybe I'll read them.
Okay, do you still want to do Silent Shores, though?
Yes, I still want to do Silent Shores. Absolutely. Absolutely, we're still doing Silent Shores. Boop. Okay. I'm going to hydrate.
And you guys link it in the chat.
Can you go for my water? Thank you. Ba 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 ba. Ba 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 ba. All right. Chat, let us link in the chat. Reading. Boop. Here's our current reading. Chat, what if we did like a little I'll I'll do Broken Wings for like 5 subs. I'll commit and read it. I'll commit. I'll do it. I'll cry. I'll do it. Okay, let's see. We gotta go to the sad boy sounds now. Because Silent Shores is not a happy fic. All right. So. Okay. So, this is Silent Shores. It is written by swipnn, and it is a pre-season 1 fic. This is how Mambu and Easton met. Thank you for stopping by, milady, the blacksmith said, his voice warm. That was definitely a woman's voice, my bad. Whoops. That was such a high-pitched femme sound. Whoopsies.
A blacksmith can be femme.
Yeah, you know what? Him, high-pitched voice. Let's go. Oh. It's always a pleasure to trade with you. She smiled. No, thank you, they replied, their cheeks rosy with blush. You all have the loveliest trades anyone could ask for. She adjusted the bag over her shoulder. I'll be back before you know it. The blacksmith nodded. Of course, milady. You take care. Bye, Miss Strawberry. Her smile widened as she looked at the young boy. Bye-bye, Julian. You help your daddy with the shop, all right? Julian nodded vigorously. I will, I promise. I'll hold you to that. They turned back and towards the blacksmith. A fine young boy you have there, she complimented. Have a nice day. Strawberry turned and headed down the dirt path, her wicker basket swaying on the crook of her elbow. As they ventured farther and farther from the small trading village, they slowed their pace and admired the forest closing in around them. In the distance, she could hear the soft melodies of hummingbirds and the gentle crash of water at a nearby stream. Under her feet, the path was slowly beginning to wane, showing only in small patches of matted mud and gravel. They walked on and on. Before they knew it, the sun was beginning to settle on the horizon. Whispers of stars began to appear overhead, and she admired the darkening sky through the canopy of leaves. The songs from the hummingbirds slowly became tunes of nightingales, and they began to slow their pace, eyes scanning for a place to stop and rest for the night. A fox brushed against their legs, and they smiled. Hi there, sweet thing, she cooed, bending down to pet the creature's head. Aren't you a cutie? The fox nuzzled its way into her hand as she scratched its cheek with gentle fingers. However, as they trailed their scratches to the fox's chin, it pulled away and turned towards a faded path a couple yards ahead. Strawberry paused. I'm not sure I understand, she said, peering over the well-trodden ground. Do you want... Without warning, the fox took off, and Strawberry quickly got to their feet, making their way after the animal. It scampered down the trodden path, and she had to jog to keep up. Confusion laced her thoughts as she traveled behind the fox, wonder and curiosity forming within her core. They followed the creature for a while before they knew they were at the forest's edge. The tree made a wall separating the luscious greenery from a gorgeous sandy beach. On the water, a gorgeous home sat on stilts above the swaying tide, overlooking the blue ocean that stretched for miles. The fox scampered down a path of smooth, randomly placed stones and towards the house. Strawberry, despite the eerie feeling stirring in her gut, followed after, expertly moving the green brush aside to make her way to the path. Sand poured through their sandals, and for the first time that day they were glad they had worn such unsupported footwear. Is this where you live? She asked the fox as it neared the stairs leading to the deck. She glanced down at the fox, who stopped at the second step. Are you somebody's pet? And the creature yipped, and Strawberry swore that it had smiled. As she opened her mouth to say something else, her eyes fell on a dark red stain on the deck. Their heartbeat seemed to stutter its rhythm as they ascended the stairs, keeping their eyes locked on the large spread of what they only could assume was blood. Oh, Aether, she breathed out, slowly crouching down to get a closer look. She turned towards the fox. Is this why you wanted me to come here? The creature looked at them with what seemed to be sorrow-filled eyes before it gently pressed a paw to their leg. She brought her hand up to scratch its cheek once more, a soft smile on her lips as she leaned into her touch. Yep. Strawberry's head snapped up at the voice Their eyes scanned the beach and the ocean around them, peering cautiously into the thicket near the tree line. However, she drew her gaze back towards the beach, the house, as loud footsteps seemed to be coming from inside. The door flew open and she raised her hands in defense. Dip! A young child came barreling out of the doorway. The fox leapt from its seat near her and jumped into the child's arms. They laughed, gently hugging the fox in their embrace, a gleeful smile on their lips. I knew you'd come back. Strawberry stared at the child. They had sandy blonde hair that fell in front of hazel eyes. A smatter of freckles dotted pale skin. Their cheeks held in the slight tint of rose. They were missing 3 of their front teeth, but by the small white dots settled in their gums, she knew that they had just lost their baby teeth. Hello? Are you deaf? She shook her head herself from the stupor to find the child gazing at them, hazel eyes seeming to sparkle underneath the vivid moonlight. The fox was still nestled in their arms, and they had pressed their cheeks against its head. She began, but the words melted on her tongue. What's your name, honey? The child pressed their lips together. My mommy told me not to talk to strangers. She couldn't help the smile that formed. That's good that your mommy says that, they replied, slowly nodding their head. Can I meet your mommy? No. Oh. Is she not home right now? No, she is. Confusion laced her thoughts and she shook her head, trying to clear her mind. Okay. Is your daddy home? Yeah, but you can't talk to him either, the child replied, their missing teeth making them have a small lisp. Well, you could try, but I don't think he's going to answer you. Orange hair fell around her face as she hung her head. Okay. They paused, trying to search for something to say. Can you take me to him? The child paused as if to consider what she was saying. After a few moments, they shrugged and turned towards the stairwell. The fox jumped from their arms and trotted next to them while Strawberry just stared. Are you going to come with me, or are you going to sit there? She got to her feet and followed the child down onto the beach. As they traversed the landscape, she silently wondered how the child knew where to go while the beach was bathed in darkness. The only light was from the moon, and it was dim enough that no longer did they have orange porch lights to cast down light. I can't read.
It's okay.
It's dim enough that, no longer did they have orange porch lights to cast down light. He's right there. And my mommy is too. They're not going to answer you, though. Strawberry's gaze landed on 2 mounds of sand, and her heart stopped. Their jaw clenched as they felt their hands fold into fists at their sides. What? Hey there. The child shrugged and cast their eyes up to meet hers. Don't feel sad they don't talk to you, they said. They don't talk to me either. Strawberry couldn't help the tears that began to well in her eyes. They bent down, holding out a hand. The child took it hesitantly. I'm so sorry, she whispered, tears rolling down her cheeks. Why don't you come with me? You can bring Dip. The child gave her a wary look. My mommy said you're not supposed to go home with strangers. She let out a quiet sigh. I know, and it's amazing that you listen to your mommy. But I really think you should come home with me, hun, she replied. It's not good for you to be out here by yourself. I can take care of myself just fine, miss, they exclaimed, a bright grin replacing a somber frown. I've been doing it for the last 2 weeks, and I think I'm just fine. I turned 4 yesterday. I'm a big kid. Please, Strawberry pleaded, their eyes glossy. Their heart ached for the child in front of them. It'll make me feel better if you come. The child pursed their lips and furrowed their eyebrows. Do you promise you're not one of them? One of whom, hun? The people who hurt my mommy and daddy. I promise. She squeezed her hands a little tighter. My name is Strawberry. What's your name, honey? Easton. Easton, baby, I'm home. Easton looked up from their drawing, a blue crayon clutched between their fingers. They shrugged, brushing off the announcement, and went back to drawing. Dip nestled in their lap, and they used one hand to trail pets along its back. Easton, I have a surprise! Strawberry came around the corner, a bundle in her arms. The blonde child glanced up, hazel eyes studying the cotton blankets. You have a new sibling! She pulled back the blankets to reveal a small bear. Easton raised an eyebrow. That's a bear, they stated, unimpressed. Very funny. Hi. Why can it talk? Strawberry gave an uneasy smile before sitting down on the couch and helping the cub remove itself from the bundle. They aren't just a bear, hun, they replied. Their name is Jamie, and they're going to be your little sibling. Easton stared at the bear sitting on the couch. Why can you talk? Jamie shrugged. I don't know, they replied. One moment was just being a bear, and next I could talk. Isn't that so cool? The blonde child gave a sideways glance at Strawberry before settling their attention back on the bear child. That's not natural, they stated, their voice flat. Animals don't talk. Dip can't talk. Strawberry tried not to sigh. Easton, Jamie isn't just some animal, they said, closing their eyes. They're a little kid, just like you. Play nice. For a long moment, Easton just stared at the two sitting on the couch, hazel eyes scrutinizing their every movement. And after a minute, they refocused their attention back on their drawing, using their blue crayon to color in the sky. Come on, sweetie, let's go get you something to eat, Strawberry finally said, hoisting the young cub into their arms. Have you ever had waffles? No, silly, I'm a bear. Strawberry gasped in Fox surprise. Really? I never would have known. Later that night, Strawberry was going through the house picking up after the day activities. When she came to a stop in the living room's coffee table, she picked up Easton's crayons and was about to continue on when she noticed the drawing that they had left out. She picked it up and couldn't help but smile. It was a picture of the two of them outside and a small, messily drawn bear next to them.
So cute.
I know.
Have you had waffles? No, I'm a bear.
No, I'm a bear. All right.
I also think I'm worried that your talking energy is running out. So it'd be weird.
But the other ones I wrote so I can read better.
Oh, that's fair.
Would you like to read Late Night Call?
That's up to you. Because I know you said you wanted to read it.
I'll read Broken Wings.
All right, that, you know what? You can do that.
You
is
can read
three times as long as Late Night Call.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
You're going to read Late Night Call. So, that was all the nature fanfics. We're going to go for the two that I have written, which I don't have copy pastes for, so you have to wait a second, sir. You get to be patient back there. So, Late Night Call is a season 2 fic. Taken place right after one of the streams that... There we go. Season 2. So, this takes place at... it's a canon continuation of Will You Answer, which was in Season 2, Episode 83. It's from Axe's perspective. So, this was after Ray and Axe were on the phone together, and they stay on the phone for a bit. So this was Axe's POV.
Get all situated.
Wait, I'm gonna start sadder just for fun.
Okay.
For fun. Start there.
That's what I'm
Okay, and I did pin the correct. I pinned it. Yeah. Yeah. Cool.
Cool. Can you stay on the phone while I have to go to bed? The fragility of his boyfriend's voice made Axe's heart ache. 'Cause I know I have to sleep, but it's really getting hard to do that. The Olm hybrid knew the scientist well enough to understand that he felt foolish asking, but the justification was unnecessary, and they would stay with him, no matter the reason. Yeah, of course. Axe assured quickly, wishing more than anything that they were in person instead of Ray. They were there in person instead, as Ray let out a relieved breath. I'm here, he added. They pretended that they couldn't hear the choked sob on the other end of the line. Static crackled over the communicator. Thank you. Ray's voice was broken, a mess of mumbled words as he clearly tried to get the tears to cease. I'm always here for you, Axe vowed. He could make out the rustling of Ray getting into bed. It made them wonder what the room looked like. Was it Ray's bed large? Was Ray's bed large, like theirs at home? Was he comfortable? Was he all alone? The rustling stopped. Thank you, Axe, Ray repeated. A sniffle followed his words. I love you, Ray. Axe had no idea how many times they had repeated those words tonight. For all they knew, those 3 words were tattooed onto their tongue, and yet it hardly seemed like the scientist had allowed them to stick in his mind. I love you too, Ray echoed back, voice trembling again. Good night.
Wait, I'm going to slide in here. Apparently I didn't pin this fic. And I'm going to put a quick thing here to say there is a trigger warning on this one. There is depictions of body horror in this one. So just so you guys know. Reading, I'm a little fool. Which I will say is also going to be a trigger warning for the next one. They both have body horror, I'm sorry.
Concern. Concern.
Yeah.
Okay, I will repeat that line just so everyone knows. I love you too, Ray echoed back, voice trembling again. Good night. Axe swallowed roughly. Good night. The house had never felt so cold. The pebble couch he prided himself on felt uncomfortable. The large living room that was once warm and spacious felt vast and cold. Everything felt wrong. Do you want me to keep talking? Axe asked, hopeful that Ray would say yes just so that the man might keep replying, that he might get to keep hearing the other's voice. A sharp inhale echoed over the line. A hoarse, please, followed soon after, and Axe felt their heart shattered. What about? Anything. I can do that, Axe agreed, taking a moment to think before they continued. I've been practicing reading more. With Caspian resting, there's a lot of signs in the house that I have no idea what they say. They began, picking a neutral topic. It wasn't something interesting enough that Ray would get hung up on, but just enough to draw the occasional tired chuckle out of the scientist as Axe lamented on the complicated storage system Caspian adored. Axe had no idea how much time he spent sitting there, talking of nothing to the little communicator in his hands. The sun had already set, so the world outside remained dark as Ray's replies slowly became too thin, and before Axe knew it, the only response they were getting from the line were soft inhales and exhales as the scientist fell into slumber. The Olm paused, questioning if they should end the call, but the idea of it almost physically hurt to consider. He didn't ever want to hang up. They wanted to wait and listen, assured that Ray was okay and that he was all right and alive, and would be there if he woke up from his all-too-frequent nightmares. A sound on the other end of the line broke his train of thought. Ray? Axe asked, unsure of what exactly he'd heard. However, he felt his heart rate spike as he recognized the ragged breaths filling his ears. What were once slow, even exhales had become deep, hollow coughs that reverberated in his lungs, coughs that sounded sickly familiar and had Axe's hair standing on end. Ray, he cried, terror running through his veins. Was this one of Ray's dreaded coughing fits? Gods, a coughing fit while he was all alone. No one was there to help him sit up or grab him potions, or a wet, tearing sound startled Axe badly enough to drop their calm as his stomach turned, a sound he knew disturbingly well, the sound of flesh being torn, a series of harsh cracks of bones being broken and rearranged. Tears welled up in the hybrid's eyes, trapped in place as they listened to their body of their partner rip itself apart. All too quickly, the visceral sounds faded, replaced with a low growling and a steady thumping. It took Axe a moment to recognize that it was a heartbeat. He could hear Ray's heart beating, or whatever Ray had become. He had no idea what the creature looked like. Having never seen it, all he knew was that low, inhumane groan and heavy sniffing. Athena had mentioned the creature was blind, right? Axe tentatively picked up his comm again. Ray? The voice was shaky, half afraid of what kind of answer they would receive. There was a snarl over the line, and Axe flinched back. A moment later, the comm shrieked a crackling snap. Call with Ray Morningstar ended. Axe stared blankly at the screen. Was this what Ray had been going through every night? How could he be okay after all of that? What was this doing to him? Why wouldn't he let them come help? A droplet hit the screen of his comm, quickly followed by another. The Ohm didn't try to stop the tears, only tucked the device away in their pockets so they could bury their face in their own hands. Finally, their own sorrow overwhelmed them, and the Ohm broke down. His shoulders trembled as they tucked their knees to their chest and their tail wrapped around themselves. Only small hiccups and gasps escaped Axe's lips, for despite everything, they still didn't want the others to wake up and hear him crying. Right now, they needed a moment, just a moment, to themselves. The Ohm didn't try to stop the tears, and he let himself grieve for himself and for his boyfriend and how screwed their lives were. The crushing weight that they had kept down while Ray was crying over the phone was crawling through the gaps in his ribs, squeezing past his lungs, pulling his body apart. He felt like he was drowning. Axe slumped over themselves and let silent sobs rack their body. They didn't know what to do. All he wanted was to grab the damn compass and fly as far as their wings could carry them, but they couldn't. They wouldn't. He wasn't going to leave Caspian. They would stay at the other side until either he was ready to fly or Ray was ready to come home. Until then, he would be the strong one, the support they needed. In a moment. Right now, he was just alone in the empty living room of one too empty house, sorely missing the man he'd built this home with. It didn't feel much like a home without him. Haha, funny bear? No!
Okay. So, that's late night call. Whoa. And I think I'm going to really quick break, run to the bathroom, and then I'll read Broken Wings.
Okay.
And you don't have to stay for Broken Wings because it'll be long.
Oh, I was going to do the copy and stuff.
You do the what now?
To get Broken
Oh,
Wings on the thing.
thank you.
I definitely will know how to do it, and I definitely will not fuck it up. You go.
Okay. All right. I was going to show you how, but
No. By the time you return, it will either be on screen or it will not be on screen. Chat. I must discover how to do this live. Believe in me. Broken Wings. Wait, we're already at Hey. We don't even do this. Okay. Now, what season is this from? Drink season 1. Boom. He's done it. Okay, now, next step. Complete reading. Boom. And then pin the message. And then we check that that's the right thing. Broken Wings, we've done it. All right, chat. I think there's other lore later today. Not with us, but I think Sherbert's doing lore, so don't forget about that. Since my wife isn't here, I'll say merch. Merch is a thing. Patreon is a thing. Okay, you can get some. You can get some shirts. Not this shirt. This is not a merch shirt. I should have worn a merch shirt, but they're good. They're nice. They're very comfortable. Let's see what else we got. We got those little notebooks. It's fun. So anyway, if you've got the money, please go over there, get a shirt, enjoy yourself. And the Patreon, we've got a lot of little behind the scenes things that are put there all the time. And my wife has been working real hard on it. So if you can, support if you can. Thank you. Now I will look at any other. I haven't even looked at Archive of Our Own for Fable SMP before. So I was just like, what other ones are on here? But there's too many.
There's so many.
There's too many.
All right. Since this one is so long, you don't
stay.
have to stay. Okay. You sure?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Cool. I'm gonna center myself a little bit more. I'm gonna
Yes,
sit.
I'm
I'm
like-
gonna sit so comfy.
I'll just be I'll be a background actor.
You be a background boy.
I'll be slightly blurred.
Okay. I might even put on my headphones so I can like almost kind of properly sound mix him.
Sure.
You know?
If you want to.
Okay. Did you
take
pin?
off the cat cam? Get it out of you. I put Broken Wings author Hey Season 1.
Thank you.
And I pinned it.
Thank you.
I checked that the pin works.
Yes.
And look, there's a rate.
OMG. Hello, Raiders. Hello, hello. Here. Do we do no more cat cam?
Yeah.
Hush. Be gone. Teehee. Okay. I'm going to switch my music so that I can actually hear it through these. In theory. Yes, there we go. Let's see. We'll go with this one. Okay. So, chat. Our last one today is going to be Broken Wings. And you're right, I might we'll put the trigger warning back on for this one. Descriptions of injury. Descriptions of injury. Okay. Oop. Yeah. Okay. Hello there. Shall we do the thing? So, probably gonna have some water breaks in the middle of this one. It's chill. But this is Broken Wings. I wrote this. It takes place during It Can't Be parts 1 and 2. And yeah. Shall we? Nothing had gone right. The sweltering heat of the sun bore down on Ray's back. The humid desert air was harsh and dry against his ragged, aching throat, leaving him gasping for breath as he dived down, just in time to avoid Sherbert's blade. He drew back his bow to return fire, only for the alchemist to dart out of his shot. It seemed to be the dance they were trapped in, one that Ray knew he would lose if it was kept up. While he had become a skilled flyer, Sherbert's petite wingspan and natural agility as a fighter gave them the upper hand. Swearing, he cursed his own stupidity for not thinking ahead. He should have planned better, should have prioritized grounding ominous Bane, but rather than mulling over useless strategies. Their wings were too great of an advantage, and Ray knew that. The scientist knew more had gone wrong. He knew the battle below them wasn't right, that Jamie and Ghosty were fighting against rather than with them, but he couldn't comprehend why. He barely had time to think of his next move, and even less time to worry about his friends below, lest Sherbert take advantage of his distracted state and strike him down. It seems like some people had a change of heart, Sherbert cackled from behind him as he spotted Jamie lunging at Athena. What did you do to them? The scientist snapped, turning to deflect Sherbert's sword with a grip of his bow, the netherite blade biting into the enchanted wood. For a moment, the two of them fell together, Sherbert's face twisted into a cruel smile they so often wore nowadays. Maybe they just needed a little convincing, Sherbert sneered, pressing their blade further into the wood. They nearly cleaved Ray's weapon in two before the scientist managed to get a leg between them and kick the alchemist off. The brunette grunted from the impact, but was fast to snap open their wings and recover from the freak fall. They darted towards the tower as Ray himself recovered to circle around it once more. Get down here, Sherbert snapped, landing on one of the rings that surrounded the black stone structure. They brandished their sword. We'll fight like real people. You want to fight for real? Heart racing, Ray knew a head-on fight would not be in his favor. However, he knew he was already screwed to hell. He adjusted his grip on the bow, attempting in vain to steel his nerves. Yeah, I sure do, Sherbert sneered. Let's start with some of this. Instead of moving to strike with their sword, as Ray expected, they reached to their belt and retrieved one of the potions strapped to their hip and threw it into Ray's chest. The scientist stumbled back, letting his arrow loose, but far off target. As the splash potion's acritic fumes immediately flooded his lungs, he stumbled back as his vision swirled and Sherbert moved towards him, words lost to the sound of his own coughing until Ray felt the ground drop out from underneath him. The heel of his boot had slipped off the glass ring, sending the scientist careening over the edge before he could right himself. Ray! Sherbert's words were lost in the wind as his body fell from the ring, his senses quickly wavering from whatever potion the alchemist had struck him with. In the back of his mind, Ray knew he needed to open his wings. He needed to catch himself. But it was as if all of his thoughts were wading through honey. By the time the dragon-like wings had snapped open, the ground came up to meet him and his world exploded in white-hot pain as bones cracked under his own weight. He couldn't even manage a scream before everything disappeared. Lost in darkness, he shivered as a familiar voice whispered in his ears. You again. Athena's shoulders sagged in relief as the purple glaze in Jamie's eyes faded away. The bear backed away quickly, stumbling over their own paws as they dropped Athena's sword, disorientation shining brightly in their eyes. The nether hybrid's body ached with pain, bruises, and cuts littering his skin, but he knew it wasn't the worst that they had endured. So they straightened up, knowing that now was not the time to rest while the battle still raged. She looked up at Jamie as their best friend approached again. What's going on, Athena? What just happened? Jamie asked, panic lacing their voice. Athena reached for Jamie's paw, gripping it tightly. Endirian, she whispered, voice soft. Endirian what? Jamie stressed, looking over their best friend. They could see how ragged the hybrid looked, and guilt began to churn in their gut as they started to realize who likely had caused it. She took over your mind, Athena explained, gentle in both words and touched as they looked over Jamie's wounds. Despite refusing to fight back, they were still scuffs and scraped from him blocking the bear's blows. Jamie's paw fumbled with their belt before drawing a health potion. They took a chaste swig before coaxing the rest of the pink liquid down Athena's throat. Are you all right? The healing liquid quickly closed several of the small gashes and started to fade their bruises. I'm fine. It's okay, Athena assured them, heart aching as they looked in the fear in Jamie's eyes. Fear of themselves. The bear didn't seem convinced. Yeah, I got your back. I got you back. The nether hybrid smiled, reaching up to put a hand over Jamie's cheek. It's okay. I promise. Tears welled in Jamie's eyes. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry, they whispered. For a moment, the two of them just held each other close. They blocked out the sounds of the battle surrounding them, relishing in the fact that they were safe, that they were okay. Although the moment's peace was short-lived as a scream cut through the air. Ray! Sherbert's shout echoed across the desert. The alchemist sounded not angry, but startled, almost concerned. The lab assistants looked up just in time to see their mentor drop from the tower and hit the ground with a sickening thud. Fear jumped in their throats as he didn't get back up. He didn't even move. Ray! Their cries synced and they scrambled up the staircase, hearts thundering in their ears. Before they could get to him, though, Centros swooped down from the air, landing gracefully on the sandstone, a smirk plastered on his lips as he hovered above the scientist's crumpled form. Oh, look what we have here, he drawled, raising his sword above Ray. However, before he could strike, Athena tackled him away, slamming both of them to the ground. Get out of the way, Athena! His lips formed a snarl. I'll kill you early. Centros pulled himself to his feet, brandishing his sword as Athena and Jamie stepped between him and Ray. His nose twitched, and a sinister grin grew on his face. I guess both of you will die. See you soon, Ray. The goddess's voice faded from his mind, leaving more questions than answers, as it seemed all of Ray's questions had been turned on their head. His thoughts were spinning, trying to decipher what she meant, but all of that was cut short the moment his mind came back into his body. He was in agony. It felt like Sherbert had lit a fire across his skin, like flames were trailing across his shoulder blades, traveling down to his wings. Yet he found himself unable to speak, leaving him gasping in pain across the sun-scorched sandstone. He rolled to his side, trying desperately to ignore the burning pain blossoming across his body, the movement leaving him dry heaving. There was shouting above him. Though he was too disoriented to tell what they were saying, a shadow passed over him as he looked up to see Jamie dropping down to his side. "Ray," they cried, looking panicked. "What?" Ray grimaced at the scratch in his throat. He drew a breath, eyelids fluttering as his lungs ached with pains. "What happened?" And before the bear could reply, an arrow pierced into the sand right beside them, and Jamie whipped around, quick to return the fire. Athena broke away from Centros and raced over to their side. "Don't worry about it, Ray. Everything is okay," Athena soothed, though the waver in their voice gave away their lie. The nether hybrid offered a hand, and Ray grasped it gratefully. For a moment, the physical contact grounded him, but the next brought a wave of suffering. As he was pulled to his feet, his muscles contracted and pulled at shattered bones. An inhuman cry escaped his throat, and his lab assistants stared at him, worry filling their chests, and they knew he wouldn't be able to join the battle. "Maybe we should retreat," Athena suggested, doing their best to keep Ray upright despite their height difference. Ray knew that both of them were looking at him for a response, but it was taking all of his energy to cling onto Athena's grip, so he could hardly even process the words. Jamie scrunched their nose when Ray failed to respond. "That's probably a good idea. Let's get out of here," they replied. The bear quickly reached for Ray's other arm, wincing in sympathy as the pained whine the scientist made. They pulled his arm across their shoulders, so he was suspended between the two of them. In a moment like this, Jamie wished they were bigger, or stronger, or to be able to fully carry their mentor. But right now, the best they could do was support him and pray to whatever was out there that he would be able to walk with them to help. Let's go, come on." Grabbing their communicator, Athena sent out an emergency message. While the directive was still sending, the hybrid shoved the device back into her pocket in order to pull a potion out of their satchel. With one hand, they uncapped the cork and pressed it to Ray's lip, tipping the contents into the scientist's mouth. Ray swallowed, wincing from the burn in his throat, subconsciously recognizing the familiar taste of the healing brew. Newfound energy surged through his body, finally allowing adrenaline to overpower the pulsating pain thrumming down his back. "Come on, Ray," the hybrid assured. The three set out across the sands, hoping that the others got the message and would be able to follow behind. "Just get home. They're not safe here. Just get home." Ray clung to the thought, repeating it over and over. He could hear as ominous Bane attempted to follow, especially Centros calling after them, only to get deflected by the others until the roar of a wither being summoned thundered over the dunes. Will and Ghosty came running up behind the three as they reached the tree line. Explosions and shouts sounded around the tower as members of Auspicious Boon dove into the dark forest behind the desert and stronghold. The trip was becoming more and more of a blur to Ray, hardly registering the panicked discussion of his friends over the blood rushing in his ears, the repeated mantra of, "They're not safe here, just get home," over and over in his mind. Eventually, the trees began to disperse and they stumbled into the grassy fields where familiar gravestones lie. As they arrived at the stronghold, Athena and Jamie reluctantly released their grips on him. The drop down the stairwell brought Ray to his knees as he felt bone jolt against bone from the force of the impact. He wasn't sure who helped him back to his feet, but he faintly registered Athena doing a head count before ushering everyone into the nether portal once they confirmed everyone had arrived. The torturous heat of the nether made Ray's stomach churn. He lagged behind the group, gasping for breath as he fought the nausea climbing in his throat. Shaking fingers felt for his belt, and he pulled a healing potion from its spot, hurriedly tearing the cork free. Breathing through his nose, he forced the pink liquid down his throat, embracing the energy it sent coursing through his veins as he pushed forward. "Just get home. They're not safe here. Just get home." Ray wasn't sure if the pain had faded, gone numb, or if he was still in shock by the time that he and Athena finally returned to their home in the ravine. The meeting with Auspicious Boon had been grim, going over their failures while trying to work out a new plan. One that wouldn't involve a head-on fight. While the scientist desperately wanted to have hope, he was scared. He was scared and yearned for more time to be able to plan. for more time to plan backup plans for the plans that he was sure would go wrong. He wanted to prepare and foolproof the plan, to pick at every little detail down to the amount of steps they would take, just so he could be secure in the hope that no one would get hurt, much unlike today's results. Athena had disappeared into their room after getting home, leaving Ray to finish up his notes, trying to record everything he remembered from the fight. The visions of Endirion and the details of the new plan, he finally set the book aside and looked down at himself. Whilst he had removed his armor, he was still dressed in blood-stained, sand-ridden clothes. The bandage over his face had been soaked through, allowing streaks of magenta-tinged blood to slip down his cheek. The part he had been avoiding, though, was the removal of his elytra. He'd managed to tuck the wings close to his back and keep them there during the meeting, but now he could assess the damage more closely. Thank you for the hydrate. He bit down on his lip as he manually opened one of the wings with his hands. The limb was too damaged to function alone. The string of pain and grotesque sight of it made him reconsider. The scientist couldn't see the connection to his back, where he assumed the worst of the damage was, but he could tell that the main arm bone of the wing had been snapped, leaving the dragon-like appendage bent at an unnatural angle. The membrane between two of the digits had even been torn from the impact with the ground. Moving the limb, it seemed to be worsening the pain. Ray knew that he needed to remove the elytra. However, he had no idea what the consequences of such an action would be. While his wings usually had sensation, they felt like an extension of his body. He had never experienced such harrowing pain from them, from anywhere on his body. The scientist reached up and undid the buckles of the elytra harness, breathing carefully as he could to not further jostle the wings. Anxiety crept up his throat as the elytra didn't immediately slide free like they had in the past. Instead, the wings stayed fused to him. Like cloth that clung to a wound with dried blood, he needed the damn things off, and he knew it was likely going to hurt. For a moment, he considered getting Athena, or seeing if Jamie had returned home, but the idea was quickly squashed down. His assistants had seen enough body-related horror from him. Instead, he fetched a few supplies, several potions as well as a spare shirt, the latter of which he rolled up and bit down into a makeshift fabric gag. Ray took a moment to settle his nerves as he reached up and took the base of each wing into a shaking hand. With a final deep breath, he pulled as hard as he could. Feverish agony flooded his nerves, and he screamed into the fabric of his mouth with the elytra pulled free. He dropped the limp wings onto the ground and let the shirt fall from his mouth in order to bring the first healing potion to his lips, downing it in a single gulp. Without waiting for it to take effect, he gulped down another, yearning for any relief from the pain. He couldn't stomach the thought of what the damage had occurred to his body. He knew that there could be intramuscular bruising or even periosteal bruising, and yet he knew he could be suffering from a spinal injury. However, he couldn't bring himself to examine his body, deciding to chug yet another healing potion before slumping down in his bed. He paid no mind to the dirt and grime covering his skin, and instead let his eyelids flutter closed, his body succumbing to the sweet lulls of slumber. Surely, rest would help. No. The ache in his spine wouldn't dissipate until months later. Even after he repaired the elytra themselves, his back would ache when flying. The muscles would tense up or spasm randomly when he tried to work, sending more than one quill clattering across his desk. It would bring a dull throbbing that would go away only briefly before returning with a vengeance, no matter which potions he tried or massages Ghosty would attempt to alleviate it. There was little to do other than to grit his teeth and bear it, for ominous Bane and Endirion wouldn't let him rest. The pain hung over him, shackled to his spine, until Centros ambushed him and hit him with yet another potion, one carrying a fragment of his mother's soul, just enough to heal his body for when more would be transferred to him. And that is Broken Wings.
Yeah, the broken wing part is pretty proud.
I like this fic because it is absolutely the as Fable continued and got more like intense, if this stream had taken place in like season 2, this would have been streamed. Like this would have been the vibe. I would have done like an art scene for it. I would have done something to show it. So when it came back up talking a lot about his injury, I really wanted to actually like have a fic depicting like what happened and why he has that really big scar across his back. And that scar on his scar chart on his back is from this fic when he tears the wings off him. It acts very much like like I said in here, a bandage fused to a wound. So, woo!
Gross.
Also, I sure saw a really upsetting like thing on Tumblr that was talking about how Ray and Icarus both have wing injuries, really severe wing injuries. But the difference is that Icarus had people there to help him, and Ray didn't get anyone to help.
Ray from the fic didn't ask for help.
Yeah,
either.
that's why I said Ray didn't get any help.
Yeah.
He literally stays away because he's like, okay, as like an explanation of like why Ray is so afraid of showing Athena and Jamie anything more like horrifying about him is because Athena seeing Ray rip his own eye out because of Endirion is what made Athena scared enough and hesitant enough around Ray that it pushed Athena straight into Ominous Bane's grip. And so Ray is terrified of doing that again with something like, help me rip my wings off my back. So